Good afternoon, Valerie Ling here. Hey there. I've been reflecting on three things this morning. Indeed, it is deeply connected to the Wellbeing Roadmap that I created for myself this year. It's something that I do annually, but this year's was a little different. The Wellbeing Roadmap, and if you're interested, just put a yes in the comments and I will make sure that I will get to you a link to register for. It's free, an online session that I'd love to do with you to help you to figure out your own Wellbeing Roadmap. In previous years, my Wellbeing Roadmap was quite goal specific. It's not a bad thing. There have been things that I've put on it in terms of particular books that I wanted to complete reading, particular hobbies that I really wanted to have as a completed activity, relationships that I wanted to focus on, some health goals as well. And they have been quite concrete in the past, manageable, specific, measurable, all of those things that you want those goals to be in some very specific domains, but nevertheless, they were quite tangible. This year, however, I've found myself just landing on three basic ideas that my well-being roadmap revolves around, and I would love to share them with you. First of all is what I call stain and not strain. If you have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and you happen to have some residual liquid that's on the bottom of your cup, maybe because it overflowed, maybe because you had a bit of an accident and it spilt, whatever. But when you place that cup onto the table, a napkin, a piece of paper, or something that you just wanted it to land on, it will probably leave a stain. And if you don't wipe it up, in fact, it's really hard to get that sort of a stain off, paper. Like once it's there, it's marked your paper, right? Or it's marked your book or whatever it is that you put your cup down on. In our practice, I've actually got some tea stained pieces of art in the practice, which I did ages ago when the practice was first set up, and it's symbolic and it means something, but stains can actually be quite beautiful. So stains can be beautiful. They can leave a mark. They can tell a story. They imprint a memory. It's an event, a time. A stain can be really good. A stain can be also not that great. You might want to get rid of it. You might actually want to say, I don't want that stain to be there, like spaghetti sauce on your brand new white shirt or curry or turmeric or whatever. That's really, really hard to get out of. But the fact remains, a stain leaves a mark. It's something that we leave behind. And I had noticed that when we talk about well-being goals, the stain that we want to leave behind is sometimes so big, so deep, so, I don't know, it takes just a lot of effort, right? But there are some stains that really take very little effort, and they just because they come from just the habits that you decide are important for the things that you want to leave behind. I'll give you an example. In the time when we had to have huge distances from people, not when we had masks, but we couldn't, be connected to people, the stain that I really focused on was just being able to smile. A big, open, generous smile. I felt like that was the one thing I could give to people when they were on the other side of the street, when I had to be far away talking to them, when I was online, just being able to give a big smile that was obvious. And that has mutual benefits, right? If you actually try spending a lot of your day smiling, it will actually give you some biofeedback yourself. A lot of our posture and our facial expression opens up and we actually feel good. So depositing smiles, more smiles into the connections and the relationship, and indeed into the world that we live in, is an example of a stain. Another example of a stain is you might want to actively work on saying, I love you. Not in that way, love yous all, like, general to the whole world, but So there might be some specific people that you really just want to be able to say, I love you. And that can be a particularly intentional stain that we leave behind. Another example is saying thank you. There might be a professional group, for example, that that weighs deep on your heart. In my case, small business owners really weigh on my heart with everything that's coming up at the moment with the economy and the fear that people are feeling. Just being able to actually say thank you and name what we're thanking them for. Thank you for staying open beyond reasonable times because people are trying to make a living. Thank you for sacrificing your family time. So saying thank you. So a stain for me represents for me 2023. What I'm really trying to focus on is how do we leave these human marks in human tracks, if you like, that aren't about drive or the strain. So this is the second thing I want to come on to, which is the strain, right? I was talking to a friend and we were talking about the type of massages we like. And in the past, I haven't really been a fan of massages, like receiving them, but with sort of the type of work that I do, the physio was always telling me like I've got to actually do. And my friend actually asked me, doesn't that sort of massage that you enjoy, doesn't it hurt? And I said, I'm the sort of person I actually really don't mind having some pain in my massage because it makes me feel like it's working. And very similarly, that strain mindset in the other areas of life, in caring for family, in the cooking, in the cleaning, in writing pieces of article, in putting content, in helping others, there's like this assumption that unless it's some kind of strain, it's not good enough. So I've been finishing my day really documenting stains and not strains. All right, what have been the stains of the day that have been imprinted on me, left with me from someone else, or that I've left behind for today, and trying not to focus as much on the strain. Instead, at the end of the day, what I'm documenting, and here's the other two things, I guess, that I focus on, which is gap versus gain thinking. I've been focusing on the gains of the day. So, what is a gain? Instead of finishing the day thinking about all the things that you didn't do, which are the gaps, focusing instead on how is today different from yesterday in terms of the gains that you've made. As an example, I've got a research assignment that I'm working on. Yesterday, the gain for me was that I actually penciled into my diary that I was going to be focusing on it today for only 90 minutes. That was a gain. Before yesterday, that wasn't in my diary. A gain would have been actually doing my journaling today. 7 days ago, when that wasn't on my Wellbeing Roadmap, I wasn't doing that. It doesn't mean that the gain had to be 15, 20, 30 minutes of monastic level reflection. No, the gain was that it happened. And I'm noticing also that by broadening the stain and the gain journaling beyond my professional work, beyond what it is that I do as a job, it just in my personal life, as I'm going to the shops, as I'm going about my day, reflecting back on the stains and gains has given me enormous relief and release, to the point that last night, as I sat down to dinner, I'm a highly extroverted individual. I had not much to say. I was just grounded and anchored and didn't really feel like I needed to say a lot, and finished my evening listening to a jazz album. And I finished the evening saying, I'm poured out, I'm empty, but in a good way. It's not a lot circulating in my brain because I was able to come down and anchor to my stains and my gains for the day. Do you do something like that? Do you find that you're fixating more on the strains and the gaps of your days? I'd love to know. And if you are interested in being a part of the Wellbeing Roadmap session with me, hit me with a yes in the comments. Catch you later.